Okay.
Okay, so my name's Josh Archambault. I'm the interviewer, and we are doing this interview on Christmas Day in 2017 in Hanover, New Hampshire. And Pepe, do you want to introduce yourself, your full name?
My full name is Raymond George Archambault.
Okay, and where and when were you born?
I was born in Fitchburg, Massachusetts,
Okay, what year?
in the year of August 24th, 1926.
1926. Okay. Who were your parents, and what did they do for a job?
Okay. You want my father's name?
Mm-hmm.
Father's name was Arthur.
Okay.
Mother's name was Lillian. My mother was a housekeeper. She never worked when she got married.
Okay.
My father was a general contractor. And,
Okay. Who were your siblings?
well, I can go, okay, I had four brothers, including myself,
Okay.
and four sisters.
Okay, what were their names?
Oldest brother's name was Arthur.
Okay.
The second one, so the boy was Arthur. Then there was brother Herbert, myself, and Donald. My sisters were Anita, oldest one, Beatrice, Rhea, and Doris, who died shortly after birth,
Okay.
back when she was born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of your siblings serve in the military as well?
Yes, two brothers, Arthur and Herbert.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered the service?
I was in high school.
You were in high school. Okay. So that mean you joined, how old were you?
Well, I never finished high school, so I would say I was probably around 16 or going on 17 in that area.
Okay. Okay. And did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted in the Navy.
In the Navy. Okay. And why did you pick the Navy?
Well, I figured it was a nice branch, and I was going to be able to see part of the world, hopefully, and that's about it.
Okay. What happened when you departed for training camp? Do you remember training camp? Did you go off to training camp?
Yes, went to training camp in Sampson, New York, Naval Training Station.
Okay. Do you remember anything in particular about your first days at training camp?
Well, it was an eye-opener of how the military runs, so we just went along with it and do as we were told. And
Okay. Was it harder than you expected, or was it?
no, I just took it that those people are your boss, and if you worked elsewhere on the outside as a civilian, you have someone in command that you have to answer to.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had that mentality of getting along with who was above me.
Okay. Do you recall any of your instructors?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Do you remember what they were like? Were they?
Yes, very cordial.
Okay.
Right to the point on everything they wanted. They emphasized doing what you were told, and we'll all get along.
Okay. Did you receive any specialized training while you were there?
No, the only training we had is I went to gunnery school
Okay.
in Newport, Rhode Island, while my ship was being built at the Philadelphia Navy Yard.
Okay. So how long were you at training before?
Well, I don't know. It was a few weeks anyway.
Okay. And then right after training, your ship was ready and you got on the boat, or?
We went down on what they call a shakedown cruise
Okay.
to take out any imperfections on the ship that had to be taken care of before it could go into the war zone.
Okay. So you did that after basic training?
Yeah, we went back to Philadelphia Navy Yard,
Okay.
where the ship was built,
Okay.
and until everything was ready to go, then off to Trinidad in that area for the shakedown cruise.
Okay, to work out the kinks. How did you like military life?
I got along with it. I just did as I was told, and
Yep.
I never had a problem.
How was the food?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was good. You know,
Did you have any problems with the schedule or the physical stuff that was demanded once you got on the boat?
no, we all went along with what we had to do.
Okay.
Just did it.
How did you like the people that you served with? Did you get to know them pretty well?
Oh yes, I had a few friends that I bonded with.
Okay.
And I suppose they bonded with me, and
Yeah.
when we had the chances to have a liberty here and there in the foreign country, when mostly around in the China area,
Okay.
we'd go on liberties together, and
Were they from New England as well, or were they from all over?
from all parts of the United States.
Okay.
Some were from Washington, and the state of Washington,
Okay.
and a couple were with Massachusetts, and that's about it.
From all over. Okay, so they want to know a little bit about where did you serve exactly?
Where?
Where?
Well, starting from when we arrived in Pearl Harbor
Okay.
back in 1944, and then we went out towards let's see, we're going out, down to Saipan, the Marshall Island Group, and Guam and Okinawa and so on. Actually, and then when the war was over, was declared over in August of '45, we had the patrol duty of covering the occupational landings of the forces, because being on an aircraft carrier, we supplied the air power,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to call it the milk run. We used to go from Saipan to Guam, Guam to Okinawa, and just patrolling,
Okay.
because a lot at that time, the Japanese at that time, a lot wouldn't believe that they were defeated, and they would come out of out of nowhere, you know. So that's about it.
What was the name of your boat that you were on?
USS Antietam,
Okay. And you were on that boat?
CV 36.
Okay. And you were on that boat the whole time you were in the
All the
service?
time I was in the Navy, that was
Okay.
my ship.
What can you tell me about the boat? Do you remember how many people were on it, or?
Yeah, it was a 27,000 ton, occupied by 3,000 men. Had quite a few planes, probably maybe 90 to 100 planes on that ship.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what was your role on the boat?
I was a coxswain.
Okay. What does that mean day to
Once I
day?
had the deck duties, with the personnel boat, and we worked taking on supplies and whatever, the boat division.
Mm-hmm.
And my duties were, when we were in at sea, I used to coxswain was, you had to blow that pipe with different calls that they've had with that, like a whistle,
Okay.
and you worked on with the captain. You were on the bridge with the captain and the commander and the different people watching things on radar and all that stuff that went with it. And
And what was the whistle for? Why would you blow the whistle?
for like attention.
Okay.
Then it would go over the mic, the PA system,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone would hear it. So if the captain called for one of his officers he wanted to have up on the bridge, he would say to me, would you have Lieutenant so-and-so, Commander so-and-so report to the bridge immediately, and things like, see, and I was the one relaying the messages.
Oh, okay.
That was my primary job.
Okay. And
That
did
one.
you get to pick that one, or were you assigned?
Oh no, that's part of the duties you have when you're a coxswain.
Did you get to pick to be a coxswain though, or did?
Well, I studied for it. Oh yeah,
Oh, you
you have to take an exam for it.
Okay.
And I went up in the ratings with it. You know.
Oh, okay.
It's yes, it means a little more pay.
Okay.
And, which is nice to have.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
fun.
you had a book of all the rules and things you had to
Oh, yeah.
study beforehand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a hard test or not too bad?
No, well, it's hard enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you had to know all your knots and all that different things. You know, different.
Okay. So you did that the whole time you were on the boat.
Yep.
Okay. What other? Yeah, I know you've told me some stories in the past, but what other memories do you have of experiences when you were on the boat, or places that you visited when you had time for liberty at different stops? Did you have a favorite port that you stopped at, or?
Not really, because it was all new to us.
Hmm.
You know, so we don't know what was good about it or bad about it. I mean, the people were so. The thing I found hard to imagine is those poor people midwinter walking on ice bare feet.
Hmm.
Those are the things we couldn't get used to. Found, when we're on liberty, find him sleeping in the doorway, a block of wood on there in the back for their pillow. And you know.
Do you remember where that was? Where was that?
That was in Tsingtao, China.
Okay.
That was the port that we went to mostly. That was going up towards the Russian border.
Okay.
So, naval area. Yeah.
And how long would it normally be between times that you would go into port? How long would you be on the boat?
Well, it wasn't really into port because what we do, it had to anchor off. And that's when our personnel boats came in handy. The office and things that had to go ashore.
Mm-hmm.
We took them to shore
Mm-hmm.
with the personnel boat. That was part of our duties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you have a favorite place that you got to visit? You said you joined the Navy because you thought you'd get a chance to see the world. Was there a favorite place?
Well, I got to see a lot of things. I was in the Philippines. I was in Japan itself after the war was over. We went into Yokosuka Bay, Japan, and so.
Now you told me a story about a big storm that you had on the ship.
Yes,
Tell
that
me
was
that
one of the
story.
memorable things. Yeah, I think you'd have it on your list of things that stand
So
out.
Tell me that story again. You were on the boat.
We're on when the war was over.
Yeah.
My captain was born and raised around Japan. His parents, I guess, had something to do with, into Japan, and
Okay.
so they lived out there.
Do you remember his name?
Captain Tig,
Okay.
and we used to. He used to say to us, they said, we're going to have the honor of going into Yokosuka Bay with the Missouri to sign the armistice with the Japanese when the war was going to be officially over. Traveling towards that destination, we came into a typhoon. It was just so bad. A section of the side caved in, which was sealed off immediately just to keep the water that was flowing in all in one area.
Mm-hmm.
So they come to the conclusion that we had to turn around and go back into Guam and go into dry dock so that it could be all taken care of.
Okay.
And of course, we missed the story of the world.
Yeah.
The historic part of it, But
Were you disappointed, or were people
I
on
was
your
disappointed.
ship? Yeah.
I as one, and I think I wasn't alone on that. So yeah, so
Were you or other people serving on your ship, did they feel like, even though you missed that one big event, did you feel like you were part of important history while you were serving?
oh yeah, it's all part of the World War II.
Yeah.
It was all, to me, it was, we were just part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did everybody who served with you feel like they understood what the mission was?
Oh, yeah.
And it was very
Oh
clear?
yes, oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people wanted to be where they wanted to be there in service? Did any of your other fellow folks on the boat want to be serving somewhere else? Or?
We're going to go where the ship is ordered to go.
Don't have much
we'll,
choice.
We'll just put it right in plain English.
Okay. Fair enough. You were following orders at that point.
That's it. Follow our orders.
Okay. One of the questions is, what kinds of friendships did you form while you were serving? You mentioned you got to know a couple.
We had a few, like I said earlier, a few guys that you bond with, that you get along good with, and so on. And
were they the guys that you worked with, or guys that you bunked with?
Most of them what we worked with.
Okay.
There was a couple of them that are in other divisions than ours, but most of them were from my division that were right in, which was the 4th Division.
Okay. And I remember you telling me in the past that you used to sleep, your bunk was over a bomb?
Over a torpedo.
Over a torpedo, okay.
I was on the bottom level there, and the bottom one there had one of those, the bed is like a all metal framework and a canvas, roped around that metal frame of about the size of your bed. Mattress on there and so on, and then but underneath a bomb wag. I just put my hand on it all when I went to bed at night.
Yeah.
I'd hang over the side and
Yeah. That make you nervous?
No, because it didn't have the warhead on it. I mean the thing to trigger it off.
Yeah.
See, they put them on when they're putting them onto the. We had the TBM bomber. That was the bomb bays. Things would open, and it would fly close to the water, maybe 10 feet off the water, and go head right for what they're aiming for. And then all of a sudden they release their bomb, and then they fly away from that area. Of course, the bomb's going to go off. Yeah. So.
Do you have any memories of when you first got on the ship? Things that you thought of the ship? Was it bigger than you expected?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It's just wow. But you settle down and you become you're a part of it. So it kind of made it feel like you're doing an important job. Our general quarters things. I was on the first loader on a 40 millimeter gun, of course, and it was what they call a quad. There's 4 barrels where the shells are going to come out. Where the
do you have any other memories of being on the boat, or things that happened on the boat that were stick in your mind, or was it every day pretty? Other than
the procedure is, they take off and they'd land, but because of our mail would go off, one of the planes would take off with all our mail, fly to one of the islands, go on a bigger transport, which would take it into the mainland and eventually delivered. But we couldn't let anyone know where our destination was or where we were. When we'd write a letter, we'd have to put somewhere in the Pacific, and that's as close as you could tell them where you were. I mean, your parents, most of the time you, at your age, you figure you're not married, So, yeah.
Did you get mail on the boat?
Oh yeah.
Who was writing to you? Do you remember?
My folks.
Your folks, okay.
Yeah, my folks, my brothers, my sisters. Yeah.
How often would you get mail? How long would it take to get something back?
Well, you don't. It's not a regular routine like everyday thing there in civilian life. So sometimes it'd be 3 weeks, sometimes it'd be a month before we'd see a letter. But all of a sudden, you'd have 5 or 6 letters.
Oh.
They'd pile up.
Get them all.
Yeah.
Well, that must have been a good day when the mail showed up.
So that was one of our nice days.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hearing everything that's happening back home, and which was still pretty good, and so on.
Now, how long were you on the boat total? Do you remember roughly?
Well over a year.
Okay.
Maybe a year and a quarter, year and a half.
Okay. Rough. Yeah. Do you remember celebrating holidays on the boat? Did they do anything special?
In some ways they would. I was going to get you something. I got a picture of the ship, and I was going to show it to you.
Okay.
But I mean,
when we finish, maybe.
Yeah, Well, anyway,
Yeah.
the like Christmas thing. They had a card, and it's got the pictures of the ship. One of them there, it's running. You turn into the wind. See, our planes were all propeller driven, no jets at that time. So they turned into the wind for the propeller planes for takeoff and landings, both ways, and it shows the plane, the flight deck and everything, and it shows a plane like it's turning towards the ship to come in for a landing, and then it's marked on the side of it, like it's got USS Antietam, and the letters are formed like Oriental, because we're out in China and Japan, all that area. Yeah.
And that was a Christmas card that
was like a Christmas card they gave us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we mailed them home if we wanted to, but mine I just kept them and took them home with me.
Okay.
That's why I've got them.
You got them now.
Yeah.
So what did you do for recreation when you had Liberty? What would you do? What were some of the things?
Well, you were restricted from different areas. They didn't want you in different areas around there. They want you to stay on the main part of the place, but there was really nothing to see because they were going about their business, and so we were just there. I got a picture showing me sitting in a rickshaw, and it shows the fellow that's pulling it. Yeah.
So you would just go in and maybe buy some provisions and
you could
walk
you go
around
to the stores and buy.
Okay.
Yeah. At that time, $100 of their money was worth 4 cents an hour.
Okay.
Talk about inflation.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. So your the war ended. Your boat had to be fixed, and then how did you get back home?
Went back home on a troop ship.
Okay.
USS Breckenridge was
Okay.
the name of the ship, and we left the ship where we were. I forget the name of the places, but anyway, one was Shanghai in China, and we went to another port. I forget what the name of it was, but they picked up more of them. By the time we went to different stops, and then we headed to San Diego to California. From California, we got on the troop train. Took us all the way back to Fargo Building, Boston, Mass, where I got separated from the service.
Okay. And that was it?
I'm out of the service.
That? Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get home? Do you remember roughly?
Oh,
a few
God.
weeks?
A good week.
A week.
Hey, came complete cross country from San Diego all the way to Boston.
It was a long trip.
It was a long trip.
How were you received by your family and community when you got back? Do you remember?
Very, very happy to see me back. My mother said, "Well, you came back in one piece," and so on, which I was grateful for that.
Sure. How did you readjust to being back in civilian life after you left the service?
It didn't take much.
Okay.
I went into my father was naturally in contracting and so on, and with the war being over, he started getting jobs were coming back. Back doing that. That's when my father took all his buildings he had for construction and whatever, and filled them up with chickens.
Oh.
So
was that during the war or before the war?
After.
After the war. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was during it too.
Okay.
Yes, it had to be. Yeah.
Okay. So you came back and you started working for him?
Started working for him. I was going to learn the trade, my father's trade, and I went to then the GI came out with the training you for a job. So I went to blueprint reading school and made my own drawings on my floor plans of a home and all this business, and and it was all paid for by the government.
Okay.
And which was, then they gave me a toolbox with like $125, $150 worth of tools, saws, hammers, crowbars, all the tools needed for that type of thing. That was all furnished by the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went back to working, or you were still working with your dad?
I worked for my father then. Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember how long roughly you worked with your father?
No, I don't. You just phase in, go
Sure.
into it, you know.
And then you ended up painting. That was your...
Then what I would do is lean more into the painting all the time. I seem to enjoy that more of the construction trade than any other part of it. We worked other parts, put in forms for you know, your cement cellars and all that stuff, but I kept leaning all the time to the painting part. So that was it.
Yeah, that's what you ended up doing. Okay. Did you remain in contact with any of the people that you served with?
I tried a couple times, but trying to locate them. The addresses that I had from them were old addresses. They moved away. I just couldn't follow through and get to see them. The only one I knew was a fella from Fitchburg, believe it or not, on the same ship as me, and we're both born in Fitchburg. He was one of the meteorologists, you know, for weather, for us to be able to operate, you know, with your planes and everything. If there's a storm ahead, no planes will go up, you know, and things like that, you know.
Okay. So did you stay in touch with him a little bit afterwards? Did he come back to Fitchburg?
Oh, well, we're right in the same town.
Yeah, so you saw him.
Right back in Fitchburg,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, small world is right.
So I know that you joined some other organizations. What organization you're telling me where you became the head person in Fitchburg or in your area?
I just
The Elks?
I just went into the Elks.
So you're in the Elks.
In Leominster, Mass.
Okay.
And that year, 84, 85.
Okay.
That year.
Were you involved in any other veterans organizations?
No,
or anything?
I never got involved into them.
Okay.
I would support them. They'd send like donations or something like that. You know, you know, you'd send what you could at that time. You know.
To support.
Yeah.
There's a couple questions here just about reflections. How would you say your wartime experience affected your life?
It didn't change me that much, that's
Okay.
for sure. I just being myself, you know, and not trying to be what I wasn't, you know, and that's it. Yeah.
Did you see combat when you were on the ship?
No combat.
Okay.
No direct combat
Direct
at all.
combat.
No.
'Cause
We were less, like one fellow said now, how true that was at the time. We were like a backup to another carrier that was right in the thick of the zone. And if something happened we would move in.
Okay. So
See.
you didn't have Japanese planes making it to your ship?
We had talked that there was a Japanese submarine following us for miles and miles, and that our destroyer got a hold of it
Okay.
and sank it, so to speak.
Yeah. So, are there some life lessons you've learned from your military service that you've held on to?
No, just the discipline. Did as I was told.
Yeah. Do you think you were a better worker working for your dad or a painter because of your time in the military? Or?
I think so, because you really realized, you know, life, what it was all about. You know, from being in the service and then going back to civilian life. That, you know, you go and you make yourself a living because that's what you have to do. Yeah. That's it.
Now, when you came back, did you get married?
No.
How long before you got married?
Oh no. I got married in 1948,
Okay.
and I got out of the service in 46.
Okay.
I didn't even know your grandmother at that time,
Okay. So you met her after the war
after the war.
and got married a couple of years later. Okay. And
Met
how
her
did
through my sister. They were doing their homework from high school. They'd meet at different homes, and she would meet at my parents' home, of course, and I would see, and I just got acquainted with her.
No,
Just the way
I never knew that story.
Yeah,
You just
there
did
you
through
go.
through homework.
Yeah.
She was doing her homework.
She was doing her homework. Right?
Good for her.
Yeah.
How would you say your military service has impacted your own feelings about war and the military in general?
Well, when duty calls, you have to do what you have to do. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't say much more than that.
Yeah. No, that's an important message. What message would you like to leave for future generations who hear this interview or other interviews with veterans?
Well, if it's a cause that needs attention, and you just gotta, like I said before, you just gotta go along with some things you don't like in life, but you still have to go along with it, because life is life. I'm putting it that way.
Yeah, no, it's a good reminder. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or anything else that you can remember during your time?
No.
No? Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate it, and thank you for taking a couple minutes to share your experience.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.